hope you must have gone through the video of electrovalent bonding, and now you must be clear with the concept of electrovalent bonding. And in this video we are going to start the covalent bond, right? So first let us understand what is this covalent bond. So this covalent bond is formed by the mutual sharing of one or more pair of electrons. Is formed between two nonmetals. It is weaker as compared to ionic bond, right? So unlike the electrovalent bond where complete transfer of electron was taking place from one atom to the other, in this type of bonding what happens? Two non-metals. In the first case, electrovalent bond, there was a metal and a non-metal. So but in this case you have two non-metals. So there is mutual sharing of electron, and each atom contributes equal number of electrons, right? Equal number of electrons, and it can be formed between same atoms or different atoms. Okay. So students, now we can compare and contrast between the electrovalent bond and the covalent bond. In the case of electrovalent bond, there was a complete transfer of electrons from one atom to the other. But in the case of covalent bond, what happens is mutual sharing. Mutual sharing is what? Each atom which is participating in the bond formation contributes equal number of electrons. Okay? Contributes equal number of electrons. And this takes place between two non-metals. Okay? And that was between a metal and a non-metal. Right? And as compared to the ionic bond, this bond is weaker because here there is no, we can say that here no ions are formed, because ions had strong electrostatic force of attraction which was able to bind the two atoms together, yes or no? But in this case bond is formed, there is a bond, but it is weaker as compared to the ionic bond. Okay, and now let us discuss about the different types of covalent bonds. The first type, students, is the single covalent bond. Single covalent bond. Okay, so this is formed when only one electron pair is shared. When only one electron pair is shared. Okay, let's take the example of hydrogen. Okay, so each hydrogen has one valence electron, we know that. Okay, so in order to attain the stable configuration, what they do? They will enter into mutual sharing. So what happens here? A bond is formed. That means they are sharing the electrons. Okay, so this hydrogen also gets two electrons, this hydrogen also gets two electrons, right? So this is what a single covalent bond. Single covalent bond is only one electron pair. You can see only one electron pair is being shared, right? Now we can take the example of hydrogen chloride. Okay, hydrogen chloride also you can see. Chlorine has 7 valence electrons. Hydrogen has 1 valence electrons. So this single bond is there. Yes. So hydrogen gets 2 electrons. Chlorine also gets 8 electrons. So this is called mutual sharing of electrons. Each atom is contributing. Chlorine contributes 1 electron. Hydrogen contributes 1 electron. And this type of bond which is formed is called a covalent bond. The second one is the double covalent bond. Double covalent bond. When two pairs of electrons are shared. Okay, that means one single bond. So this is how we write the hydrogen molecule. This is how we write the HCl. There is a single bond. Okay, so one single bond represents 2 electrons or a pair of electrons. Okay, similarly now in this double covalent bond, when 2 pairs of electrons are shared, you can take the example of oxygen. Okay, each oxygen atom has 6 valence electrons. We know that Yes. So they are mutually sharing this electron. So this is represented by double bond. There is a double bond between the two oxygen atoms. Okay. So here two pairs of electrons. You can see each oxygen. Now this oxygen also has 8 electrons. This oxygen also has 8 electrons. Clear? Third one is triple covalent bond. So obviously 3 pairs of electrons here. 3 pairs of electrons are shared. Right? Take the example of nitrogen. So we know that each nitrogen has 5 electrons in the valence shell. Right. So they enter into sharing this 3 pairs of electrons. So here basically 6 electrons are shared, that means 3 pairs of electrons are shared. Okay. So each nitrogen now gets what? 8 electrons and fulfills the octet rule. By mutual sharing they are fulfilling the octet rule. So this is also a bond formation, students. But as compared to the ionic bond, it is weaker. Okay. Now students, let us discuss the general properties of covalent compounds. So you know that covalent compounds are what type of, what are these covalent compounds? The compounds which are produced as a result of covalent bonding. Okay. So those compounds are called as covalent compounds, right? So the properties, the general properties. The general properties of covalent compounds we are going to discuss here. So they have, first point, they have very weak interparticle force of attraction. Interparticle force of attraction, intermolecular force of attraction, also called as the, is also called as a Van der Waals force. Okay, Van der Waals force exists between neutral atoms. Okay. In that case, in the ionic compounds or the electrovalent compounds, there was a strong electrostatic force of attraction because ions were produced. Yes or no? Because electrons were basically lost and gained, and so there was formation of ions. And the oppositely charged ions are pulling each other with a strong electrostatic force of attraction, right? But in this case now, students, these are neutral. There are no charge development is taking place here. So a very weak interparticle force of attraction is there. Okay, that is called as, also termed as Van der Waals force, as you have read in your lower classes also, intermolecular force of attraction. That is what the force of attraction with which exists between the neutral particles, neutral atoms. Okay. Next is what? So because of this weak Van der Waals force, so what happens? They are usually, they are liquids. They exist as liquids, gases, or soft solids. Okay. And usually they are volatile liquids. Volatile means what? Which quickly evaporates. Okay. So they are what? Volatile liquids. Thirdly, students, they have low melting point and boiling point. Obviously, in the case of ionic compounds, they have high melting and boiling points because of the strong electrostatic, because much amount of heat is required to break the bonds. That strong bonds are there. Yes or no? But in this case, weaker bonds, it's a weaker bond. So obviously they have low melting point and low boiling points. Okay. Then they are generally bad conductors of electricity. Yes, obviously, because in this case there are no ions. So when there is no ion, there will be no conduction of electricity, right? They are poor conductors of, generally, but the word generally, okay? We will come to the point why it's, because some exceptions we have, okay? So they are generally bad conductors of electricity and they are generally insoluble in water. Insoluble in water. Okay. So the ionic compounds are soluble in water, but the covalent compounds are insoluble in water. Basically, they are insoluble in water. Okay. Now, students, let us discuss about the types of covalent compounds. So basically, there are two types of covalent compounds: non-polar and polar. So basically whatever we discuss, the general properties of the covalent compounds, that means what are the general properties of covalent compounds we discussed right now, all are actually applicable to this non-polar. Non-polar compounds are generally of that kind of way. Okay. So now first let us see some of the non-polar compounds. Let us understand what is this non-polar compounds. The first thing about non-polar compounds is that the shared pair of electrons, is equidistant from each atom. Or we can say the electron pair is shared equally. The electron pair is shared equally. Okay. So this is what a non-polar covalent compound. Secondly, there is no separation of charge. No separation of charge. They are symmetrical and also electrically neutral. Okay. Whatever we discuss now, all are applicable to the non-polar covalent compounds. Non-polar means they do not have any positive pole or negative pole. Polar means what? They have a positive pole and they have a negative pole also. Okay. So now we'll be coming to the topic very soon. So students, like suppose here before coming to the polar covalent compounds, I would like to explain you one term, that is electronegativity. Okay. So what is this electronegativity? This is a tendency of an atom to attract the shared pair of electrons towards itself. Okay. So that means the tendency of an atom to attract the shared pair. Now you know that in covalent bonding, basically what is happening? The electron pair is shared by both the atoms which are mutually entering into the combination. Yes or no? But then sometimes what happens? One element tends to be more electronegative than the other. And in that case, a charge separation occurs. As I told you earlier also, the properties that we discussed for the covalent compounds, the general properties, all are applicable for the non-polar. Non-polar satisfies all the conditions. That means here the shared pair of electrons is distributed equally. Okay, it is equidistant. That means the shared pair of electrons is equidistant from both the atoms. Okay, both the atoms they share their electrons equally. Okay, and so there is no charge separation, and it is symmetrical. It is electrically neutral. It is having no charge. Okay, but then sometimes what happens? The comparatively one atom tends to be more electronegative than the other, and in that case what happens? Polar covalent compounds are formed. So in this polar covalent compounds, what happens? The electron pair is not shared equally. Right? So as a result of this, what happens? There is charge separation, or you can say there is fractional, there is a development of fractional charge, we can write. There is development of fractional charge, and that's why it is not electrically, we can just understand, that's why it is not electrically neutral. Okay, symmetrical point, I'll be coming to that point later on. So that's why they have some kind of charge. That means they have some kind of ionic character. Just like the ionic compounds or the electrovalent compounds, these polar covalent compounds, they are obviously covalent compounds only. No doubt about it, because the electrons are not transferred, shared. But still they have certain kind of ionic character because of the difference in the electronegativity. That's why these compounds are formed when there is a difference in electronegativity. Okay. So students, for the time being, you can remember one series that I am going to tell you. Okay, remember this series. This I have arranged from in the decreasing order of electronegativity. Decreasing order of electronegativity. What is electronegativity? It is a tendency to pull the shared pair of electron more towards itself. That means now in this case what happens, students? One of the combining atom is more electronegative than the other. So what happens? The shared pair of electron doesn't lie at the center. It is not equidistant. The more electronegative one pulls it more towards itself. That means if the shared pair of electrons is closer to the more electronegative atom, or it is shifted more towards the electronegative atom, right? So students, let us understand how these polar covalent compounds are formed and how these non-polar covalent compounds are formed. Okay, so should keep in mind that series that I told you. Okay, this is a series. This is the most electronegative and this is the least electronegative. Hydrogen is the least, fluorine is the most electronegative and hydrogen is the least electronegative. Okay, so now let us take some examples. So when the bond is between same atoms like you have hydrogen, you have nitrogen, yes or no? So you have chlorine, you have oxygen. So these are what? Same atoms, similar kinds of atoms. So obviously both are equally electronegative. So the electron pair will be shared equally. So this type of compound is usually what? Non-polar. Usually what? It is non-polar only. Okay, it doesn't have any pole or separation of charge because the electron pair is shared equally. Okay, between same atoms, it is always non-polar. Remember it. Okay, it is always non-polar. And between carbon and hydrogen also always non-polar. Always non-polar. Okay, even if there is a bond between carbon and hydrogen, none of them, even though you can see carbon is a bit electronegative more electronegative than hydrogen, but still there is no tendency of carbon to pull the electron pair towards itself. So it's also always non-polar only. Okay, and besides that, there are some structures like carbon tetrachloride, methane. Okay, so in this case, let us draw the structure of first carbon tetrachloride. Okay. So you know chlorine has 7 valence electrons. Yes, carbon has 4 valence electrons, right? So what happens? Carbon enters into chemical bonding because it needs 4 more electrons. Yes, so it needs 4 more electrons, and each chlorine needs one more electron to fulfill the octet rule. So they enter into chemical combination. So now you can count the number of electrons in carbon. Now carbon has shared one electron each from each chlorine. So carbon has now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons, and each chlorine now also has 8 electrons, fulfill the octet rule. So this is what basically this carbon tetrachloride has a perfect geometrical shape. It has a perfect geometry. Because of this reason, you can see even though chlorine is more electronegative than carbon and there are 4 chlorine atoms, but since it is in a perfect geometry, what happens? This is not a polar. This is not a polar covalent compound. This is a non-polar covalent compound like methane. So you know methane is in between carbon and hydrogen. I told you already that there is no pulling of the electron towards itself. Carbon doesn't pull the electron towards itself, right? So this type of compound is non-polar because from all the 4 sides same polarity is developed. Okay, so this is a non-polar covalent compound. So for non-polar covalent compound, you should understand if it is between the same atoms, it is non-polar, or it has a perfect geometry like this, it is non-polar, right? And between carbon and hydrogen, if it is there, also it is non-polar because carbon doesn't pull the electron pair towards itself. Okay. Now students, let us take the example of hydrogen chloride. Okay, hydrogen chloride, HCl. Here. So what happens in the formation of HCl? Now you know that hydrogen has only 1 electron in the valence shell, chlorine has 7 electrons, right? So they are entering into chemical bonding with each other. They share the pair of electrons. But now you see this series. Chlorine is here, and where is hydrogen at last? So chlorine is highly electronegative as compared to hydrogen. So what chlorine does, it pulls or attracts the shared pair of electron more towards itself. That means the shared pair of electron in this case shifts more towards the chlorine. Hydrogen still has, okay, hydrogen still has an electron, but then that electron pair shifts more towards the chlorine. Hydrogen still has, hydrogen is also having this electron, okay, chlorine also has the same electrons, but it is not, the shared pair of electron is not equidistant. It is not equidistant from both the atoms. It is more shifted towards the chlorine. Sorry, it's more shifted towards the chlorine because chlorine is more electronegative. Okay, so as a result, what happens? A partial positive charge develops here. Since the electron is a bit far, the pair is far. So a partial, not like in the case of ionic bond, that is by the transfer of electrons, perfect positive and negative charge, not like that, but slight positive charge develops. This is called as del plus, and here a slight partial negative charge develops. Okay, this is a very small charge. Okay, but slight positive and slight negative. That is why this is what? This is a polar covalent compound, because here there is formation of two poles. This is the positive pole and this is the negative pole, right students? Negative pole. So in this case, so this type of covalent compounds show ionic character. That means they are soluble in water. You know that hydrochloric acid is soluble in water, yes or no? And they are able to conduct electricity unlike the non-polar covalent compounds, because there is a charge separation here. The electron pair is not shared equally among the two atoms, since one of them is more electronegative, right? Now let's take the example of chloroform. Okay, chloroform, CHCl3. CHCl3, okay? The structure is like this. Yes? So in this case, students, you can see this is also a single covalent bond. But then you see here chlorine, these three chlorines are electronegative, they are highly electronegative. But we know that carbon, hydrogen, there is not much difference in electronegativity, and when there is a bond between them. So now you see from the four sides there is difference in polarity. So obviously here what will happen? There will be development of charge. There will be charge separation. So dear students, I would like to just give a small idea about the organic, bonding in the case of organic compounds. In detail, you will be studying in 10th class. But now just a small idea I want to give you. Just like suppose you just understand one thing, students. When there is carbon-carbon single bond, okay, they are referred to as alkanes. When there is carbon-carbon double bond, they are called as alkenes. And when there is triple bond between carbon, it is called as alkynes. Okay. Also remember, when there is one carbon, okay, there is, suppose I am writing a one carbon, we use the prefix meth. When there are two carbon atoms, eth. Three carbon atoms, prop. Four carbon atoms, but. Okay, likewise, 5 carbon atoms, pent. 6 hex. 7 carbon atoms, hept. 8 oct. 9 non. And 10 dec. Okay, so I'll just explain you how you can understand this. Just see, students. So now I told you this single bond is there. It's called as alkanes. So in that case, we add the suffix ane, ane. In the case of double bond alkenes, we add the suffix ene. And in case of triple bond, we add the suffix ine. Okay, this is a suffix, and these are the prefix. These are what? Prefixes. Okay, prefixes. And these are suffixes. Okay. So suppose now you have a compound like So what is this compound now? So you can see here there are 2 carbon atoms and 6 hydrogen atoms. So it can be written as C2H6. So students, in this case, what is the prefix for 2 carbon atoms? For 2 carbon atoms you are writing eth. Yes. And what is the prefix for the single bond between 2 carbon atoms? The suffix is ane. So this is called as what? Ethane. Yes, ethane. Likewise, this one also one structure you can see. If this is methane, we know that. Yes or no? This is what? Meth. Only one carbon atom and it's alkane. So methane. Clear? Now let us take an example of carbon-carbon double bond. Okay. You know that carbon has 4 electrons in the valence shell. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now you can see, students, these carbon atoms are bonded together with a double bond. That means both have shared 2 pairs of electrons, right? Now here we can put one hydrogen. Hydrogen is having 1 electron here, okay, sharing with carbon. From here also 1 hydrogen. Okay, from here 1 more hydrogen we can put. It has also 1 pair of one electron, single electron. Likewise here also electron. So now we can count it. So each hydrogen gets 2 electrons, 2 electrons, 2 electrons, 2 electrons, right? And each carbon is getting how many electrons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's also getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So each have got what? 8 electrons. Each carbon has also attained the octet rule, and each hydrogen has attained the duplet rule. So in this case, this compound is what? C2H4. So how will you name this compound? Now how many carbon atoms count? What is the prefix? 2 carbon atoms, eth. Yes or no? 2 carbon atoms is what? Eth. And the double bond is there. Double bond is what is the suffix? Ene. This is called as what? Ethene. So these are what some of the examples of compounds. So this compound is what? Having, this is an example of a compound having double bond as well as single bond. Okay. One more example we can take. Carbon-carbon triple bond we can take. Right? Carbon triple bond. Let us take. Okay, carbon triple bond. So obviously here hydrogen will be there. You see, 1 electron, 1 electron. Now each bond is 2 electron, right? Let us count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 4, 5, 6. Now this carbon again 1 electron and this hydrogen has 1 electron donating, sharing. Like this hydrogen has 1 electron. Now this carbon. So carbon has actually how many electrons? 4 valence electrons. So you can see. These are the 4 electrons, 4 valence electrons of this carbon. These are the 4 valence electrons of this carbon. Now, so carbon is sharing one of its electron with hydrogen, and hydrogen is also donating 1. So here there is a single covalent bond. Here there is a single covalent bond, but in between the 2 carbon there is what? Triple covalent bond. So this is an example of a compound having a triple bond as well as single bond. Okay, right? So how will you name this compound? Carbon-carbon triple bond is there. How many carbon atoms? 2. So obviously the prefix will be what? Eth only. And triple bond is ine. The suffix is ine. Okay. So just a slight idea I've given students. In detail you will be studying in the organic chemistry part. Okay. So dear students, I hope with the help of this you will be able to understand the concept of covalent bonding. So I just suggest you to go through the video properly and go through the book also, study well, make your concepts clear and prepare well for examination.